Hello and welcome to Everyday's Kitchen. In the tutorial today I'm going to show you how to make a tiramisu cake. This cake is inspired by the famous Italian dessert tiramisu. It has several layers of sponge cake brushed with coffee and rum, and in between these layers there's mascarpone cream. So in every bite of the cake you will taste the delicate light sponge cake together with the wonderful mocha flavored mascarpone cream. So we start with preparing the sponge cake. I choose to make a Hong Kong sponge cake because I think its fluffy and soft texture will match very well with the tiramisu cream. And as I have already uploaded a detailed tutorial for this cake, in this video I will just go through the very main steps of making this cake. If you would like to see the full tutorial, you can click on the button on the top right corner of this video. These are the ingredients that we need to make the cake. The full ingredient list is in the description below this video. We also need to prepare a round cake pan lined with parchment paper, and before preparing the cake batter, preheat the oven to 150 degrees C. In a mixing bowl, add in the egg yolks, sugar, milk, oil, vanilla, and blend very well. Next, sift in the bowl the flour and cornstarch and mix well until we have a very fine and smooth mixture. Set it aside. In another mixing bowl, add the egg whites with a little salt. We start beating on low speed for about 1 minute until we see the large bubbles in the egg whites. Then stop the mixer and add cream of tartar and continue beating for 2 to 3 minutes at low to medium speed until the egg white turns foamy. Next, we add sugar little by little. Set the mixer at low speed and beat very well for the sugar to dissolve in the egg whites completely before adding extra sugar. When all of the sugar has been added, raise the mixer to high speed and continue whipping until the egg white reaches soft peak. Then reduce the speed to medium and continue whipping for 2 to 3 minutes until the egg white reaches steep peak like in the video. Take about 1/3 of the beaten egg white, add into the bowl of the yolk and flour batter and mix thoroughly. These steps help to loosen the yolk and flour mixture and make it lighter so that it will be easier for us to fold in the remaining egg white. Next, we take another portion of egg white and gently fold it into the yolk batter. We want to keep the air bubbles in the beaten egg white for a cake to rise nicely and for it to be fluffy and soft. So try to fold gently at this stage and don't deflate the egg white. Continue folding the rest of the beaten egg white into the yolk mixture, and in the end, the batter should be very thick and foamy with almost no large bubbles like in the video. Pour the cake batter into the pan and gently tap the pan onto the counter several times to break the large bubbles inside the batter. Then bring it to the oven and we bake the cake at 150 degrees in about 40 to 50 minutes. When the cake is done, take it out of the oven and remove it from the pan. Next, take the parchment paper out and let the cake cool on a rack. While waiting for the cake to cool down, we prepare the mascarpone cream. Add the mascarpone cream and sugar into the bowl and beat at low speed for about 1 or 2 minutes until the cream turns very smooth. Make sure that the mascarpone cream is at room temperature or it will be very hard for us to make it smooth. Next, add the whipping cream, vanilla, and rum. Whip at medium to high speed until the cream turns thicker like in the video. At this stage, set the mixer at low speed and continue whipping until the cream reaches steep peak. Keep an eye on the cream at this stage and stop at the right time, because if the cream is over-whipped, then it will turn grainy and is not soft and smooth anymore. Put this cream back into the fridge and leave it there for about 30 to 40 minutes. This time, make the cream thicker and it will be easier for us to frost the cream onto the cake later on. When the cake has completely cooled down, we cut it into 3 pieces. First, I use some toothpicks to mark the place where I'm gonna cut the cake. Next, with the serrated knife, I score around the cake using the toothpicks as a guide. This cut doesn't need to go very deep, it's just a kind of a marker on the edge of the cake. And finally, with the serrated knife, I cut through the cake along the indentation that I just made before. Go very slowly to maintain accuracy here. So after cutting the cake, we should end with 3 even layers of sponge cake like this. Put the first cake layer onto a cake base. I've prepared some small pieces of parchment paper and I put them under the cake to avoid the frosting cream sticking to the cake base and make it dirty. Mix the coffee, rum and sugar, then brush this liquid onto the cake. Then take about 1/4 of the mascarpone cream and spread it all over the cake. We repeat with the other 2 layers of the sponge cake. And after we put the last cake layer on top, take a small amount of mascarpone cream and gently apply it all over the cake. This step is called cake crumb, and we only need a small amount of mascarpone cream for it, just enough to cover all over the cake. When we have done with the cake crumb, put the cake back into the fridge and leave it there for about 30 to 40 minutes until the cream is quite chilled and firm. And finally, we take the cake out of the fridge and apply the rest of the mascarpone cream onto the cake. To decorate the cake, I dust some cocoa powder and then I use some fresh raspberries. This cake should be kept in the fridge and it tastes best in 1 or 2 days. Remember, only dust the cocoa powder onto the cake right before you serve it. Otherwise, the cocoa powder will absorb the moisture from the cake in the fridge and it won't look nice anymore.